Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure, and what we're looking at is a Honda 250SX with the Astro conversion. And what matters today is that it is a 1985 250SX, but it was built late in 84. Okay, now I'm going to come back to that a couple of times, but I just want to mention that I got this thing just as you see it, right? It did come with a gas tank, though it's the wrong gas tank, but it looks like a 200S gas tank. That's what the Astro conversion looks like. And I got as far as making sure the engine was not locked up. I haven't done a compression test on it. I really haven't put the battery to it or anything like that. So we're going to start going forward with that. We're going to start out by hooking up a battery, turning it over, doing a compression check, checking the spark, and then we'll see if we can't get it started. We took off the gas tank and plastic and a few things very quickly. First of all, what's with the red wire going to the negative on the battery? That's crazy stuff. They do have the battery hooked up correctly, right? But that's some crazy making there. You could also see like this jacket that's on here, that's not OEM. So the wiring is messed around with. So just make note of that. Second thing, this is not an OEM carburetor. This is one of those China clones, which could very well mean that it's not any good. You can tell the OEM carburetor is flat. It doesn't have a dome like that. I was very, very happy I got the plastic gas tank. Unfortunately, where you put the spigot on the bottom, it's broken. So I didn't quite get everything I thought I was getting. But you know, when you buy these things, you take what you get. Oh, one other thing they did include. The headlight bucket that came with it is actually in nice shape, and they included a headlight with a bad bucket, so to speak. So that was kind of a nice find. The key switch is one of those Chinese replacements. And you can see we're not wired up here. I did do a video on getting spark back to this thing, so we do have spark, but we'll check that out quickly before we get rolling. By the way, about the plastic, I was thinking the back plastic may have been Mayer's, may not be. I don't think it's Myers. I think it's the one that came with the Astro kit. Plastic's in decent shape. You got that crack there for the back, and you got the mud flaps off a truck that they added onto it. The nose is cracked up, and that's a little bit messed up. I'm not quite sure. It looks like something might have been hanging here and rubbing and eventually broke the plastic. I don't know. But I would give the plastic on this thing off the top of my head, you know, probably a B-. It's all there, right? It could be patched up, so it's kind of hard to get plastic in any kind of decent shape. Looks like fairly recently somebody put that Calric battery in there. Just quickly, looks like it might have a dead cell. I did put a charge to this thing, so about the battery, maybe not. I never expect to get a good battery, not too much of a surprise there. Okay, the next trick is to figure out if the engine's seized up. Pretty easy to do. Just take this out. Typically you use a washer, right? Sometimes if you grind the washer a little bit, it fits into the slot better. Try not to booger this up. Makes it harder for the next person who works on it. While I'm doing this, I'm also looking at things like the bolts are all scarred a little bit. So somebody was in here before. The shifter is not welded. That's a good thing. This boot appears solid. That's a good thing. Anyway, from experience, I know that I want to turn this thing clockwise, and I know it has a 17 millimeter on it. So you want to go around 2 full RPMs, 2 full revolutions, right? Doesn't matter how long it takes you. And the reason why you want to go around twice is you want to be sure that the thing doesn't go 3/4 of the way around and hit like the intake valve or something like that. Alright, it appears loose, so I'm going to put a drill to this thing. Now we're going to turn it over and check the spark. Okay. You guys can see the drill turning it over. The old Ryobi electric starter. This is the second kind of in-depth video on this all-terrain vehicle. On the first one, I spent some time going through the wiring to bring the spark back, and you guys could go take a look back in my library like a month ago where I did that. I ended up having to hook up ground. It turns out that the neutral switch was no good. So just to let you know, that's what that blue wire is doing. And we do have spark. So next is a compression test. Time for a compression test. I'm going to use the drill first because the person I bought it from said the starter had some issues. Right? If you hit the recoil, you can see it's not grabbing. So let's do the drill first, and then we'll mess with the electric starter. Boy, that's, I wouldn't call that great compression, huh? Only 60. I mean, it sounded pretty good. I want to use the electric starter when I try to start it for real. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go for a wet compression. Because the drill has a lot of trouble turning it over against that. But I'm surprised the compression is so low. Okay, Harvey messed up the last compression test. I didn't have the carburetor opened, and one needs that, or the compression test isn't accurate. You're not allowing the engine to breathe. So let's see how it does. Wow. I can tell you, there's quite a bit of compression against this. So it came in at 90. It really wasn't turning over as quickly as it should. So I think the engine's okay. I'm sure if I oil it and turn it over faster, it'd probably be well over 120 on its way to 150. Okay, put some gas in here. And by the way, I'm really liking this stuff lately. It's the premix. I put it in, you know, one of these bottles, squirt it into the hose. I've been happy with that. But anyway, so let's give this thing a shot. See if I can't get it to start up. I'm using the jump box. I don't know, could you guys see it off to the side there? So I'm using the jump box and the switch on the jump box. I'm putting power directly to the starter, and we'll see what happens. Got my you know, great stuff here. Remember, just a dab will do you. and let's see what it does. Not only started, but it's idling. It's making bad sounds. Making bad sounds up in the head. Hear it? Sounds like it's not getting oil. Alright, how do I shut you down? There's not normally a problem you want to cross. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's getting oil up there. Oh, it's about to stall. Come on, stall. There we are. So, there is a mistake you can make on these. And it looks like it has a nice fresh oil change. The oil filter might have been put in backwards. The oil filter might not be in correctly. And if you do that, it makes it sound like the head, well, forget makes it sound like, the head starves for oil. You don't end up with oil coming up on that line right here. So I got to check that. I got to see if there's oil coming up there. And I also, you guys, you probably heard the starter. It didn't sound very good, did it? So we got to do something with that. But generally speaking, I paid $450 for this, and I'm thinking I did okay. That plastic gas tank, even with the broken valve, got to be worth, I don't know, 75 bucks, give or take a little bit. The back tires hold air somewhat. It's got shocks. It's the Astro conversion, right? The plastic isn't the most horrible stuff in the world. I think I did okay for my $450. But it does need a little bit more love and attention for sure. I'm going to end this video here. I hope everyone really enjoyed it. I want you all to keep your feet down, your heads up, and I want you all to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.